Bedtime was supposed to be a happy event for a tired child. For me, it was terrifying. While some children might complain about being put to bed before they finished watching a film or playing their favorite video game, when I was a child, nighttime was something to truly fear. Somewhere in the back of my mind, it still is. As someone who is trained in the sciences, I cannot prove what happened to me was objectively real, but I can swear that what I experienced was genuine horror, a fear which in my life I'm allowed to say has never been equaled. I relay it to you all now as best as I can. Make of it what you will, but I'm glad just to get it off my chest. I can't remember exactly when it started, but my apprehension towards falling asleep seemed to correspond with being moved into a room of my own. Now, I was 8 years old at the time, and until then, I had shared a room quite happily with my older brother. As is perfectly understandable for a boy 5 years old, my senior, my brother, eventually wished for a room of his own, and as a result, I was given the room at the back of the house. It was a small, narrow, yet oddly indulgent room. In fact, it wasn't that big. It was large enough for a bed, a couple of chests of drawers, but nothing much else. I couldn't really complain because even at that age, I understood that we did not have a large house, and I would had no, I had no real cause to be disappointed. As my family was both loving and caring, it was a happy childhood during the day. A solitary window looked out onto my back garden. Nothing out of the ordinary, but maybe during the day the light which crept into that room seemed almost hesitant. As my brother was given new bed, I was given the bunk beds which we used to share. While I was upset about sleeping on my own, I was excited at the thought of being able to sleep on the top bunk, which seemed far more adventurous to me. Which, from the very first night, I remember a strange feeling of unease creeping slowly from the back of my mind. I lay on the top bunk, staring down at my action figures and cars strewn across the green, blue-green carpet, as imaginary battles and adventures took place between the doors and on the floor. I couldn't help but feel that my eyes were beginning slowly drawn towards the bottom bunk, as if something was moving in the corner of my eye, something which did not wish to be seen. The bunk was empty, but made with a dark blue blanket tucked in neatly, partially covered two rather blank white pillows. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was a child, and the noise looking at the door from my parents' television bathed me in a warm sense of safety and well-being. I fell asleep. When you awaken from a deep sleep or something moving or stirring, it can take a few moments for you to truly understand what is happening. The fog of sleep hangs over your eyes and ears even when lucid. Now, something was moving. There was no doubt about that. At first, I wasn't sure what it was. Everything was dark, almost pitch black. But there was enough light creeping in through the outside to outline the nearly suffocating room. Two thoughts appeared in my mind, almost simultaneously. The first was that my parents were in bed because the rest of the house lay both in darkness and silence. The second thought turned to the noise which had obviously woken me. At the last cobwebs of sleeping within from my mind. The noise took on more familiar form. Sometimes simple sounds can be the most unnerving. I thought the wind was through a tree outside. Maybe it's footsteps coming close, or, in this case, the simple sound of bed sheets rustling in the dark. That was it. The bed sheets rustling in the dark, as if something disturbed sleeper, as attempting to get off too comfortable in the bottom bunk. I lay in disbelief, thinking that the noise was either in my imagination, or perhaps just my pet cat, or finding somewhere comfortable to spend the night. It was then that I noticed my door shut. It hasn't been as if I fallen asleep. Perhaps my mom had checked on me and the cat had sneaked in by the room then. Yes, that had to be it. No other explanation can explain that. I was in the fist of all, closing my eyes and in the vain hope that I could fall back to sleep. As I moved, the rustling noise from underneath me ceased. I thought that I must have been disturbing my cat, but quickly I realized that the visitor in the one bunk was much less mundane than my pet trying to sleep, and much more sinister, as if alerted to and disturbed by my presence. The disturbed sleeper began to toss and turn violently, like a child having a tantrum in their bed. I gave the sheets a twist and turn with much more fury. Feeling gripped me, not like the sort of tense of unease I had experienced earlier, but now potent and terrifying. My heart raced and my eyes panicked, scanning the almost empty darkness. While there I cried, as most young boys do. I instinctively shouted on my mother. I could hear something stir in the other side of the house, but as I began to breathe a sigh of relief that my parents were coming to save me, the bunk suddenly started to shake violently as if something gripped like an earthquake. Scraping against the wall, I could hear the sheets below me thrashing around and as if tormented by malice. I did not want to jump down to safety, as if the thing on the top bunk might reach out and grab me, pulling me into the darkness. So I stayed there, knuckles clenched tightly on my own blankets as a shot of protection. Oh, the wait seemed like eternity. The door finally opened and thankfully burst open. I lay bathed in light with one bunk. The resting place of my own home was a visitor, lay empty and peaceful. I cried and my mother consoled me. Tears of fear followed by relief streamed down my face. Yet, through all of the horror and relief, I did not tell her why I was so upset. I couldn't explain it, but it was as though whatever had been on that bunk would return if I, even so, myself spoke of it, or only a single syllable of its existence. Whether it was the truth, I do not know. But as a child, I felt as if that unease menace remained close, listening. My mother laid me on the empty bunk, promising to stay with me until morning. Eventually my anxiety diminished. Tiredness pushed me back towards sleep, but I remained restless. I waking several times momentarily, the sound of rustling bed sheets. I remember the next day wanting to go anywhere but anywhere but in that narrow suffocating room. It was a Saturday, and I played outside quite happily with my friends, although our house was not lodge. We were lucky to have a long sloped garden in the back. We played there often, as much as it was overgrown and we could hide in the bushes, climbing a huge sycamore tree, well, and which towered above all else, and easily imagine ourselves in the throes of a grand adventure, or some untamed exotic land. As far as it all was, occasionally my eye would turn to that small window, but oddly slight and unconscious for me, and that thin boundary was looking glass into a strange cold pocket of dread, as in the lush green surroundings of a garden filled with the smiling faces of my friends could not extinguish the creeping feeling crawling its way up my spine. It's just sitting on end, the feeling of something in that room, watching me play, waiting for the night when I would be alone, deeply filled with hate. It may sound strange to you, but by the time my parents ushered me back into that room for the night, I said nothing. I didn't protest, I didn't even make an excuse as to why I couldn't sleep there. I simply and solemnly walked into that room, climbing that few steps into the top bunk, and then waited, as an adult would be telling me everyone about my existence, or and experience. But even at that age, I felt almost silly to be talking about something which I had no evidence of for. I would be lying, however, if I said that my primary reason I still felt that this thing would be enraged if I spoke of it. It's funny how certain words can remain hidden in your mind, and no matter how blatant or obvious they are. One word came to me. That second night, lying there in the darkness alone, frightened, aware of that wrong change in the atmosphere, a thickening of the air, as if something had displaced it. As I heard the first casual twist of the bed sheets below, the first anxious increase in my heartbeat at the realization that nothing was there. Once again at the bottom bunk, that word, a word which had been sent into exile, filtered up through my consciousness, breaking free of, well, repetition, or something, gasping for earth, screaming, itching, and carving itself into my mind. Ghosts. As this thought came to me, I noticed that my unwelcome visitor had ceased moving. The bedsheets lay calm and dormant, but they had been replaced by something far more hideous. A slow, rhythmic, raspy breath even escaped through the thing below. I could imagine its just rising, falling with each sword, wheezing and gobbled breath. I shuddered and hoped beyond all hope that he would leave without occurrence. The house lay as in the previous night. A thick blanket of darkness. Silence prevailed. All but the preferred breath of my as yet unseen bunkmate. I lay terrified. I just wanted this thing to go, to leave me alone. What did it want? Then something unmistakably chilling transpired. It moved. It moved in a way different from before. Then it threw itself around in the bunk, it seemed. unrestrained, without purpose, without anything, almost animalistic. This movement, however, was driven by awareness. The calmly and whatever you want to call it sat up. Its labored breath had become louder, as now only a mattress and a few flimsy wooden slats separated my body from this unearthly breath below. I lay there, my eyes filled with tears, a fear which mere words cannot relate to you or anyone else had else coursed through my veins. I would not have believed that this fear could have been hesitated, but I was so wrong. I imagined what this thing could look like, sitting and listening from below my mattress, hoping to catch me slightest hint that I was awake. Imagination then turned into unnerving reality. I began to touch the wooden slats which my mattress sat on. I seemed to caress them carefully, knowing that I would imagined to be fingers and hands across the surface of the wood. Then a great voice prodded angrily against two slats into the mattress, even though the padding it felt as something through viciously stuck the fingers into the side. I could let out. I don't know, but once again in the light, there stood my mother, loving, caring, as she always was, with a comforting hug and calming words obviously subdued my hysteria. She just posted that, and that's what we're having for dinner. Now, of course, she asked what was wrong, but I could not say. I did not say. I simply said one word over and over and over again. Not me. As I heard my big brother saying something from the other room, I heard him talking to my mom. But this pattern of events continued for weeks, if not months. Night after night, I would awaken to the sound of rustling sheets. Each time I would scream, so as not to provide this ambition with time to crawl and feel for me. With each cry, the bed would shake violently, stopping with an arrival of my mother, who would spend the rest of the night in the bottom bunk, seemingly unaware of the sister forced torturing her son nightly. As my dog barked in the night, I could hear something in the bottom bunk almost every 5 minutes. Along the night, and along the way, I managed to feign illness a few times and come up with other less than truthful reasons for sleeping in my parents' bed. But more often than not, I would be alone for the first few hours of each night in that place. The room where the light from outside did not sit right, along with that thing. With time you can become, well, convinced to almost anything, no matter how horrific. I had come to realize that, for whatever reason, this thing could not harm me when my mother was present. I'm sure the same would have been said for my father. But as loving as he was, waking him from sleep was almost impossible. I learned that dog walking outside at night was calming to me. After a few months, I had grown accustomed to the nightly visitor. I did not mistake this for some unearthly friendship. I desired the thing, and I still feared it greatly, as I could almost sense its desires and its personality, if you could call it that. One filled with the perverted and twisted hatred, yet longing for me, or perhaps all things. My greatest fears were realized in the winter. The days grew short, and the longer the nights merely provided this wretch with more opportunities. It was a difficult time for my family. My grandmother, a wonderfully kind and gentle woman, had stirred greatly. Since the death of my grandfather, my mother was trying her best to keep her in the community as long as possible. However, dementia was a cruel and bad illness, robbing the person of the memories one day at a time. But as soon as she recognized none of us, it became clear that she would need to be moved from a house to a nursing home. Before she could be moved, my grandmother had a particularly difficult few nights, and my mother decided she would stay with her. As much as I loved my grandmother, and felt nothing but anguish at her illness, this day, I feel guilty that those thoughts were not of her, but of what my nightly visitor may should it aware of my mother's absence, her presence being the one thing which I was sure was preventing me from the full horror of the thing's reach. After a while, I was hoping my dog would scare off the visitor a little bit, but that did not help. I rushed home from school that day and immediately wrenched the bed sheets and mattress from the lower bunk, removing all of the slats and placing in the old desk of chests and drawers, and some chairs which were kept in the cupboard where the bottom bunk used to be. I told my father I was making an office, which he found adorable, but I would be damned if I'd give that thing a place to sleep for one more night. As darkness approached, I lay there knowing my mother was not in the house. I did not know what to do. My impulse was to sneak into a jewelry box and take a small frame of crucifix, which I had seen there before. My family was not very religious. At that age, I still believed in God and hoped that somehow this would protect me. Although fearful and anxious, while gripping the crucifix under my pillow tightly in one hand, sleep eventually came and I drifted off the stream. Now, keep in mind, this was scary. I hoped that I would be awakened in the morning without incidents. Unfortunately, that night was the most terrifying of all. I woke gradually. The room was once again dark, and as my eyes adjusted, I could gradually make out the window and the door and the walls, some toys on a shelf, and even to this day I shudder to think of it. But there was no noise, no rustling of sheets, no movement at all. The room felt lifeless yet not empty. Not a visitor. That unwelcome, wheezing, hate-filled thing which had terrorized me night after night was not in the bunk. It was in my bed. I opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. All the terror had shaken the very sound from my voice. I lay motionless. I could not scream. I did not want to let it know I was awake. I had not yet seen it. I could only feel it. It was obscured under my blanket. I could see its outline, and I could feel its presence, but I did not look. The wave it pressed on top of me, sensation that I will never forget. When I say that I was past, I do not exaggerate. Lying there motionless in the darkness, listening to the barks of my dog, I was very bit a scared and frightened young boy. If I had not been scared, I don't know what would happen. It would have been light by then, but it was still winter. But the grasp of winter is long and unrelenting, and I knew it would be hours before sunrise which I yearned for. I was a timid child by nature, but I reached a breaking point, a moment where I couldn't not wait no more. I could survive under this intimately deviant admiration no longer. This abomination was terrible. Fear can sometimes wear you out, make you threadbare. A shell of nerves leaning over, the slightest trace of you behind. I had to get out of that bed. Then I remembered the crucifix. My hand still lay underneath the pillow, but it was empty. I slowly moved my wrist around to find it. Oh no. Salvation caused by that thing. But the crucifix could not be found. I had either knocked it off the top bunk, or it could not bear to think of it. It had been taken from my hand. Without the crucifix, I lost all sense of hope. Even at such a young age, you can be acutely aware of death is, and intentionally frightened of it. I knew I was going to die in that bed if I lay there, dormant, passive, doing nothing. I had to leave that room behind, but how? Should I leap from the bed and hope that I would make it to the door? What if it was faster than me? Or should I slowly slip out of the top bunk, hoping to not disturb that uncanny bedfellow? Realizing that it had not stirred when I moved, trying to find the crucifix, I began to have the strangest thoughts. What if it was asleep? I hadn't so much as breathed since I had woken up. Hard to believe I know. Perhaps it was resting, believing that it had finally got me. That it was finally in its grasp. Or perhaps it was toying with me. After all, I had been doing just that for countless nights. And now, with me under it, pinned against my mattress with no mother to protect me. Maybe it was holding off, severing its victory until the last possible moment, like a wild animal, severing its prey. I tried to breathe as shallowly as possible, mustering every ounce of courage I could. I reached over slowly with the right hand and began to peel the blanket off me. When I found one of those covers almost stopped my heart. I did not see it, but as my hand moved the blanket, it brushed against something smooth and cold, something which felt almost sickly, like a gaunt hand. I held my breath in terror, as I was sure it must have been known that I was awake. Nothing. It did not stir. It felt dead. After a few moments, I placed my hand carefully further down the blanket and felt a thin, poorly formed forearm. My confidence and almost twisted sense of curiosity grew as I moved down further to the large dorset muscle. The arm was outstretched, lying across my chest, and a hand resting on the left shoulder as it had grabbed me in my sleep. I realized that I would have to move this thing if I even so much as hoped to escape its grasp. For some reason, the feeling of torn, ragged clothing on the shoulder of this night had time to fade stopped me in my tracks. Fear once again swelled in my stomach and in my chest as I recalled my hand in disgust and the touch of straggled, oily hair. I could not bring myself to touch his face, although I wonder to this very day what it would have felt like. Dear God, it moved. It moved. It was subtle. Its grip on my shoulder and across my body strengthened. New tears came, but God, how I wanted to cry. As his hand and arm slowly coiled around me, my right leg brushed along a cool wall with the bed lay against. All that happened to me in that room. This was the strangest. I realized that this clutching, rancid thing which drew delight from violating a young boy's bed was not entirely on top of me. It was sticking out from the wall like a spider circling from its head. But suddenly its grip moved from a long, slow tighten to a sudden squeeze. It pulled and clawed my clothes as if frightened that the opportunity would soon pass. I fought against it, and God, I don't know, but I can't explain it. I don't know. I fought against it, but nothing. I don't know. I can't explain it, but really, its emaciated arm was too strong for me. Its head rose up and writhing and contorted under the blanket. I now realized where it was taking me, into the wall. I fought for my dear life and cried suddenly. My voice returned to me, yelling, screaming, but no one came. Then I realized why it was so eager to suddenly strike. Why this thing had to have me now. Through my window, the window that seemed to represent so much malice from outside, streaking hope, the first rays of sunshine. I struggled further, knowing that if I could just hold on, it would be soon gone. As I fought for my life, that unearthly parasite shifted, slowly pulling myself up my chest, its head now poking out from under the blanket, wheezing, coughing, rasping. I do not remember its features. I simply remember its breath against my face, foul and cold as ice. As the sun broke over the horizon, that dark place, that suffocating room, it, it was washed, bathed in sunlight, and I passed out as its scrawny fingers circled my neck, squeezing the very life from me. I awoke to my father offering to make me some breakfast, a wonderful sight indeed. I had survived the most horrible experience of my life until then, and now I moved the bed away from the wall, leaving me behind the furniture I had believed would stop that thing from taking the bed. Little did I think that I would try to take me again, and weeks passed without incidents. Yet, on a cold, frozen, bitten night, I awoke to a sound of furniture where the bunk beds used to be, vibrating violently in the moment it passed. I lay there, sure I could hear distant wheezing coming from deep within the wall, finally fading into the distance. I never told myself this story before, but to this day, I still break out in a cold sweat at the sound of bedsheets rustling in the night, or wheeze brought on by a common cold, and I certainly never sleep in my bed against the wall. Call it superstition, what you will, but the following year I was given a larger room on the other side of the house. My parents took it strangely, suffocating, and in that bedroom, they said I didn't need a large room, room big enough for a bed, and a few things. In less than 10 days, we moved on the 11th. Horror always resides in bedtime for little kids. Remember that.
There's always a reason to be afraid.
Good night, mates. It's Brian here. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, toss a like, as it really helps out. Also, be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe for more videos and music. We say this at almost every single slideshow that we do, and we do really hope you enjoyed it. We just do what you guys think you would like us to do, and we do it. This story was actually not from an actual person, but it was on something that we found really interesting, and I'm pretty sure no one ever did it before, so if they did, no copyright infringement intended. We just think that it's really cool for you guys to give us the opportunity that we have to narrate stories to you. But the thing is, we don't know when Yuri will be back, because his uncles are having a really hard time with a lot of his stuff. So we hope you guys can help out a little bit. He's almost out of the hospital, and he's just having some really hard financial issues that you're always helping them out with. But if you can help, that'd be great for us. And I think that some of you can actually help out, but if you don't want to, that's fine. We can probably raise the funds ourselves, but you know, whatever you think is good for us, we can do. Anyways, if you have any requests, we would love to hear them. From last video, I think it was I don't know what it was actually called, but I will leave a link in the description below on my email and our phone number. So if you want to follow us or just just email us or something like that, even in the comments, you can put requests and even write your own stories or share a creepy photo that we can use in our next video. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, punch the like button in the face like you just don't care. And as always, peace.